Right now, someone is deciding what they think of you, and you are already rewriting yourself to manage their verdict. You felt that, didn't you? That small tightening in your chest. That reflex. The one that fires before you even know it has fired. This is the prison. And you built it yourself, brick by brick, approval by approval, silence by silence. Look at where you are right now. Maybe it is late. Maybe the city outside your window is still throwing its light at the clouds, neon bleeding down wet glass, cars hissing through rain on empty streets. Maybe you are in bed with a screen carving blue shadows across your face, and somewhere underneath the noise of this video, there is a quieter noise. The noise of a version of you that is exhausted. Not from work, not from the news, from performing, from the constant, grinding, invisible labor of managing what other people think. That labor has a cost, and most people never stop to count it. Here is what this is actually about. Not philosophy, not theory, not some ancient idea wrapped in marble and distance. This is about the specific weight you carried into today. The thing someone said last week that you are still rehearsing answers to at 2 in the morning. The post you almost made and then didn't. The opinion you swallowed in a meeting room under fluorescent lights while someone else said the wrong thing with total confidence, and the room nodded anyway. You stayed quiet and told yourself it was strategy. It wasn't strategy. This video will hand you 7 tools. Hard, specific, battle-tested tools that will cut the wires of that prison one by one. Not so you become cold. Not so you stop caring about anything. But so you stop handing strangers the key to your peace. There is a difference. And by the end of this, you will feel it in your body. But before we go one step further, I need you to do something. Right now. Not after. Now. Type this in the comments below. Write it out. Own it. I do not live inside other people's heads. I live inside my own. Write it. Every like on that comment is someone who made the same decision you just made. Let them remind you. Let it be real. Because here is the thing most people will never admit to themselves. The cage does not have bars you can see. It has no lock you can photograph. It is built entirely from imagined judgments, from glances you misread, from silences you filled in with the worst possible meaning. You walk around inside it every single day, and you call it being responsible, being realistic, being humble. It is none of those things. Now, let's find out exactly how you built it and how you are going to tear it down. Method 1. The graveyard test. Whose opinion survives a century? Pay close attention to this. It will save you years. There is a graveyard outside Rome. Not a famous one. No marble emperors staring down from pedestals. Just flat stones, worn smooth by 2,000 years of rain, names half-eaten by time. Walk through it on a cold morning, the cypress trees cutting black shapes against a gray sky, your sandals wet from the damp grass, and you will feel something shift inside your chest. The names on those stones were once the loudest voices in the room. They had opinions, strong ones. They judged how men walked, how women spoke, how merchants priced their grain in the forum. They whispered in Senate corridors. They sneered at philosophers sitting under olive trees. They decided who was respectable and who was a fool. Now the rain decides how long their names last. Think about the last time you changed your behavior because of what someone might think. Not what they said, what they might think. A ghost opinion, a judgment that has not even happened yet, from a mind you cannot read, about a version of you they are probably not even watching. You built your entire day around a ghost. Here's the test. It is simple. It requires nothing but honesty, and honesty is the one thing most people refuse to spend. Before you shrink yourself for someone's approval, ask this question. One question, cold and clean as a blade. Will this person's opinion of me matter in 100 years? Not to history, not to the world, to you, to the version of you that actually has to live your one life. Sit with that, because when you really sit with it, the answer arrives fast and it lands hard. There was a Stoic teacher named Epictetus. He was born a slave. A man in Rome owned his body, his time, his labor. One day, his owner grabbed his leg and twisted it, slowly, to show power. Epictetus looked at him and said, calmly, "You will break it." The man kept twisting. The bone snapped. Epictetus said, without raising his voice, Did I not tell you so? Think about that scene. The cold floor of a Roman house, the smell of oil lamps burning, the sound of the bone, and a man who felt nothing of it break inside him, because he had already decided which opinions lived in the room that mattered and whose did not. The owner's judgment of Epictetus died with the owner. Epictetus's words are still being read in rooms all over the world right now while you listen to this. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. That is Epictetus. What it means in plain words is this. Other people's opinions are events, like rain, like the wind off the Mediterranean carrying salt and thyme through the agora while merchants argue. They happen. They are not verdicts. They are weather. But here is the part nobody talks about. The graveyard test is not about being cold to people. It is not about deciding that no one matters. It is a sorting tool, a filter, sharp and honest. Some opinions deserve weight. The mentor who tells you the hard truth when you are making a wreck of your life. The person who loves you enough to say the thing that will cost them comfort to say. The voice that has skin in the game, that has sat in the same dust and heat and difficulty you are in. Those opinions are worth hearing. But the coworker who raises an eyebrow when you speak with confidence? The stranger who scrolls past your work and feels a flicker of small judgment? The crowd in the marble arena who cheers one moment and demands blood the next, depending only on which way the wind turns? Run them through the test. 100 years. Will it matter? The silence that follows that question is your answer. Most people stop here. Do not be most people, because knowing it intellectually is nothing. 0. Philosophers in Athens sat under those olive trees and debated freedom while walking home to their fears every single evening. The gap between knowing and doing is where most lives get quietly buried. So here is the action. Concrete. Specific. Tonight, before you sleep, take something to write on. Paper, a phone, anything. Write down one decision you changed today because of what someone might think. 1. Then write the name of that person next to it. Then write the year they will be gone from your world entirely, whether by distance or death or simple drift. Then write the year you will no longer be here. Look at those numbers. The opinion that stopped you today will not survive the decade. Your one life, however, is happening right now, not in 100 years. Right now, tonight, in this room, in this body, behind these eyes. The graveyard is full of people who waited for permission that was never coming. Do not add your silence to that collection. Now, knowing whose opinion is worth keeping is only half the battle. Because there is something even more dangerous than caring what others think. It is not knowing why you care, and that invisible reason is running your decisions from the shadows without you ever seeing its face. Method 2. The approval audit. Counting the cost of everyone else's vote. Pay close attention to this. It will save you years. You already know the opinion does not matter in 100 years. You felt that truth land. But right now, in this moment, you are still checking. Still listening, still measuring yourself against a crowd of people who are measuring themselves against you. The question is not whether you care. You do. We all do. The real question is this. Have you ever actually sat down and counted the cost? Picture Rome, not the marble Rome from paintings. The real one. The Forum on a Tuesday morning, loud and filthy and alive. Vendors screaming over each other, goat blood drying on the stones near the temple steps. A senator in a white toga sweating through the fabric because it is summer and no one told the sun to care about dignity. In that crowd, there is a man named Publius. A merchant, decent man, sells quality olive oil from the southern farms. Works hard, loves his family, but every single decision Publius makes, he runs it past his neighbor first. His business partner, the man at the next stall, the senator whose approval feels like sunlight. He adjusts his prices not based on his costs, but based on what others will say about him in the wine houses after dark. He stays at the wrong stall in the wrong corner of the forum for 11 years because moving would look like ambition, and ambition makes people uncomfortable, and uncomfortable people talk. Publius never counts the cost of all those votes he is collecting. He just keeps paying the price. This is the approval audit. Not a philosophy, a ledger, a hard, honest ledger where you write down every time you let someone else's opinion cost you something real. Epictetus said this. He said it plainly. If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. Read that again, slowly. Epictetus was not a senator. He was a slave, born in chains in Phrygia, with a master who once broke his leg to test his will. He knew what approval actually costs. He paid that price in bone. And from that place of real pain, not lecture hall comfort, he told you the truth. Growth and approval do not live in the same house. You have to choose which one you are going home to. But here is the part nobody talks about. Most people hear that quote and nod. They think they agree. Then they post something online and spend the next 4 hours watching the numbers. They wear the outfit and then scan the room. They make the decision and then spend 3 days wondering what their coworker thought about it. The approval addiction does not announce itself. It runs quietly, underneath everything, like a river under a city floor. You feel the pull before you even know it is there. So here is the audit, and it is brutal. Good. Take the last 72 hours of your life. Not a week, not a month, just 3 days. Move through them hour by hour like a prosecutor going through evidence. Ask yourself this, and be honest, because lying here only costs you. How many decisions did you change because of how someone might react? How many words did you leave unsaid because of the face you imagined in response? How many times did you perform, just slightly, just enough, so that a specific person would see you a certain way? Write the number down. Actual number, not a feeling. A count. Now multiply that by 365 days. Then multiply it by the years you have left in this body. That is the cost. That is the bill you are running. That is the price Publius paid for 11 years in the wrong corner of the forum. Now here is the second part of the audit, and this one cuts deeper. For each of those moments you counted, write the name of the person whose approval you were chasing. Then ask yourself one more thing, one final question that corners you where there is no room to move. If that person saw the best, most honest version of your life, the version with no performance, no calculation, no adjusting, would they even recognize it? And more importantly, do they even want that for you? Because some of the people whose votes you have been collecting for years are not voting for your freedom. They are voting for your compliance. A Stoic general in the field does not poll his troops before choosing where to march. He knows the ground. He knows the objective. He moves. You are allowed to move. The action tonight is this. Concrete and specific. No room for vague intentions. Open something to write on. Go back through today only. Find one moment, just one, where you adjusted yourself, your words, your choice, your silence, because of someone else's imagined reaction. Write down what you gave up in that moment. Time, energy, honesty, direction. Then write this next to it. What would I have done if no one was watching? That answer, that version of the decision, that is your compass. The audit is not punishment. It is accounting. And you cannot fix a debt you have never looked at. You now see the cost. Publius never counted it. You will. But knowing the cost is only the beginning. Because there is something even more dangerous waiting underneath all of this. The approval itself is not the deepest problem. The deepest problem is what you have built your entire sense of self on top of. And if that foundation is wrong, everything standing on it is already falling. Method 3, the Spectator Deletion, Marcus Aurelius's war against the crowd. Here is the script for Method 3, that foundation you have been building on. Right now, as you read this, ask yourself honestly, who laid the bricks? Because most people construct their entire identity from borrowed opinions. They stack approval on top of approval, like stones in a wall, until the wall is so high they cannot see over it. And they call that wall a self. They call it a personality. They call it who they are. It is not. It is a prison with good lighting. Picture this. A wartime command room, somewhere in Western Europe, 1944. The smell of cigarette smoke and wet wool. Maps pinned to a plywood board with bloody thumbtacks. Red lines slashing across France like open wounds. A general stands at the head of the table. 12 officers around him, all with opinions. All with fear. All watching his face for permission to feel safe. Outside, the radio crackles. Static and death in alternating bursts. He looks at the map. He looks at the window. He does not look at the 12 faces. Because the 12 faces will not win the war. The 12 faces want comfort. The 12 faces want to go home. And he cannot give them that. Not yet. Not if he looks to them for direction. He makes the call. Alone. Inside his own mind. And the army moves at dawn. That is not cruelty. That is clarity. Marcus Aurelius understood this at a cellular level. He ruled an empire of 70 million people. Every day, there were senators who wanted favors, generals who wanted glory, philosophers who wanted arguments, and crowds who wanted spectacle. Every day, the noise was deafening. And every day, Marcus sat down and wrote. Not for the crowd, for himself. In private, never meant to be published. He wrote, "It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but we care more about their opinion than our own." Read that again. Slowly. Let it cut you where you live. You love yourself. You believe you matter. You would fight for yourself in a dark alley. But the second someone raises an eyebrow at your choices, your confidence collapses like wet cardboard. Why does a stranger's glance carry more weight than your own judgment? Why does a comment on a post, a smirk across a table, a silence where praise should have been, why does that carry more authority than your own internal voice? Because you have been trained, systematically, since childhood, to outsource the verdict on your own life. But here is the part nobody talks about. Marcus did not just philosophize about this. He had a practice, a deliberate, daily deletion of the imagined audience inside his head. He called it examining his impressions. Every time a fear about reputation entered his mind, he stopped. He named it. He held it up like a soldier holds up a suspect document, checking for forgery. And then he asked one question. Is this actually real, or am I performing for a crowd that is not even in the room? Most of the time, the crowd was not in the room. Most of the time, the crowd did not even exist. The senators were not watching his every thought. The philosophers were not grading his every word. The imagined eyes that followed him through his own mind, those were phantoms. Constructed by habit, sustained by attention, destroyed the moment he stopped feeding them. And he chose, every single day, to stop feeding them. Your chest. Feel it right now. Is there a tightness there? A low hum of something you are managing, something you are keeping below the surface so that the right people see the right version of you? That hum is the crowd inside your head. The faces you carry everywhere. The ones you perform for while you eat, while you work, while you scroll, while you try to sleep and cannot quite get there. They are not watching, but you keep the theater running anyway. Lights on, curtain up, show for an empty house. Now pay attention. This is the real lesson. Spectator deletion is not about becoming cold. It is not about deciding that no one matters. Marcus Aurelius was not a hermit. He led armies. He sat in council. He loved his family. But he made a wall. Not a wall to keep people out. A wall around his judgment. Around the place inside him where decisions got made. And he refused, absolutely refused, to let the crowd inside that wall. Epictetus said it first and said it clean. If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. He means this. The moment you start protecting your image, you stop growing. Because growth is uncomfortable. Growth looks wrong from the outside. Growth, while it is happening, looks like failure to everyone watching. The crowd does not see the roots of a tree. They see a hole in the ground. And they will tell you to stop digging. Delete them. Not with anger. With decision. The general in that command room did not hate his 12 officers. He listened to their intelligence. He used their information. But when the moment of choice came, the moment that would cost lives and change the course of history, he went inside. He shut the room. He decided alone. That is the model. Information from the outside. Decisions from the inside. Most people do it backwards. They carry the outside voice into every corner of their inner world. And then they wonder why their own mind feels like a crowded train station where they cannot hear themselves think. So here's what you do. Tonight, and every night this week. Before you fall asleep, ask yourself this specific question. How many decisions did I make today from the inside? And how many did I make while watching my own reflection in someone else's eyes? Write the number down. Just the number. Do not judge it. Count it. Day 1. Maybe 7 out of 10 choices were made for the crowd. That is honest. That is where most people live. But day 3, maybe it is 5. Day 7, maybe it is 3. You are not trying to reach 0. You are trying to shrink the audience. Seat by seat. decision by decision, until the command room inside your head goes quiet enough that you can hear your own voice again. That voice, the one underneath all the noise, that is the general. Put them in charge. But even when you clear the room, even when you delete the imagined crowd and move forward on your own terms, there is one final enemy left standing. And this one is not outside you. It never was. This one has been living in the walls the entire time. Method 4. The judgment mirror. What their criticism actually reveals about them. Now here is where most people completely fall apart. Because you cleared the room. You silenced the imagined crowd. You made the decision from the inside. And then someone opened their mouth. A colleague, a family member, a stranger online with a face you have never seen. And they said something about you. Something cutting. Something small. And suddenly the room was full again. Pay close attention to this. It will save you years. Picture the agora in Athens on a hot afternoon. The market is loud. Amphorae stacked in uneven towers. Merchants shouting prices over each other. The smell of fish and sweat and olive oil rising off the stone in waves. A philosopher named Zeno is walking through the crowd, slowly, deliberately, like a man who has nowhere to be and nothing to prove. A merchant steps out from behind his stall. His name is no longer remembered. His goods are no longer remembered. But his words were. He points at Zeno and says, in front of 50 people, that Zeno is a fool. That his ideas are worthless. That the Stoa, the painted porch where Zeno teaches, is just a gathering place for men too weak to do real work. Zeno stops. He looks at the man for a long moment. Then he says something that changes everything. He says, "Tell me, friend, what is it you are afraid of losing?" The crowd laughed at the merchant, because they understood, even if they could not name it, what Zeno had just done. He held up a mirror. Here is the lesson. And this is where it gets dangerous. When someone judges you, they are not actually talking about you. They are talking about the gap between what they see in you and what they are afraid they will never have. Or the gap between what you are doing and what they stop themselves from doing. Epictetus said it directly. When someone is unkind to you, it is because they are suffering. Read that again slowly. Suffering. Not power. Not wisdom. Not strength. Suffering. The man who mocks your ambition is not confident in his own. The woman who picks apart your appearance is not at peace with her reflection. The relative who says your dream is stupid is carrying a dream they buried years ago and never speak of. Their words tell you almost nothing about you. They tell you everything about the wound they are walking around with. But here is the part nobody talks about. Understanding this does not mean you feel nothing. You are human. Words land. The merchant's voice still echoes in the market square even after he has gone home. The Stoic move is not to become stone. It is to ask the right question the moment the criticism hits. Not, are they right? And not, how do I destroy them? Both of those questions put them in control of the next 5 minutes of your life. The right question is this. What does this person need to believe about the world for that sentence to make sense? Say someone tells you your work is not good enough. Ask that question. What does this person need to believe? Maybe they need to believe that there is a limited amount of success in the world, and if you get some, they get less. Maybe they need to believe that people like you do not succeed, because that belief is the only thing protecting their choice to stop trying. See it, name it, and then release it. Not because they deserve your grace, but because you do not deserve to carry their weight. If this is hitting different right now, do one thing for me. Hit that subscribe button. Not for me. For the version of you that needs this reminder next week when someone says something that tries to pull you back down. Marcus Aurelius sat with this truth his entire life. Senators mocked him behind curtained rooms. Generals doubted his resolve. Poets wrote sharp lines about the emperor who preferred books to blood. And he wrote this, alone by lamplight, in the private pages he never planned for anyone to read. It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own. Let that land. He is not angry in that line. He is amazed, almost tender, like a man watching people walk into the same wall again and again and feeling something close to grief for them. He understood that the critic is often the most trapped person in the room. They are spending their energy watching you, measuring you, building a case against you, because looking at themselves is too painful. So the next time someone's words try to get inside you, do this. It is simple. It is not easy, but it is simple. Pause. One breath. Just one. And ask yourself, what is this criticism a mirror of? Not what is it a mirror of in you. What is it a mirror of in them? You do not need to say this out loud. You do not need to confront them. You do not need to win the argument or even respond at all. You just need to see it clearly. Because the moment you see the wound behind the weapon loses its edge. The merchant's words stop being about Zeno's worth and start being about the merchant's fear. And Zeno can walk on through the agora, past the stacked amphorae and the shouting and the smell of the crowd, completely unchanged. The dust of the market still rises around his feet. The noise does not stop, but none of it follows him home. That is the judgment mirror. Not armor, not distance, just clear sight. See them clearly. See their words clearly. And then decide, from that cleared room inside you, whether any of it is worth carrying. Most of it is not. But even when you can do this perfectly, even when you hold up the mirror and see the truth behind the criticism, there is still one more obstacle standing between you and real freedom. And this one does not live in anyone else's mouth. It lives in the story you keep telling yourself when the lights go out. Method 5. The inner Citadel lock, sealing off the one space no one can touch. Pay close attention to this. It will save you years. Because the obstacle we are about to face is not out there in the forum, not in the merchant's sneer, not in the senator's whisper behind your back. It is in the room behind your eyes. The room you retreat to when everything else goes quiet. And most people have left that room completely unlocked. Picture a night in Rome. Not the Rome of paintings and grandeur. The real Rome, late, cold, the kind of cold that finds the gaps in a wool tunic and settles there. A young soldier named Gaius sits in the barracks. The oil lamp throws a small, weak circle of light on the stone wall. Around him, other legionnaires sleep, their breaths slow and heavy. The armor, stacked in the corner, still smells of the day, sweat and iron and dust from the road. Gaius does not sleep. He is replaying the afternoon. His commanding officer humiliated him in front of the entire century, called him slow, questioned his courage. The other men heard every word. Some of them laughed. And now, hours later, in the dark, Gaius is living it again. The officer's face, the sound of the laughter, the burning in his own chest. He is not in the barracks anymore. In his mind, he is back in that moment, and it is happening again and again and again. Here is the part nobody talks about. The officer stopped attacking him at midday. Gaius has been attacking himself ever since. This is the real problem, not the voices outside. The voice inside that picks up where they left off. The one that replays the wound at midnight. The one that narrates your failures in the second person, calmly, cruelly, the way a prosecutor speaks to a jury. The one that keeps the courtroom open long after the trial should have ended. You have been in that barracks. You know exactly what that lamplit spiral feels like. So here is what the Stoics built against it. Epictetus, who was once a slave, a man who had no home, no freedom, no legal protection, a man whom other men literally owned, said this: "No man is free who is not master of himself." A slave, saying that. A man with chains on his wrists, saying, "Freedom is something no one can give you and no one can take." He was not talking about politics. He was not talking about Rome's laws or his master's permission. He was pointing at the only room in existence that belongs entirely to you. The room inside. Your judgment. Your response. The story you choose to tell about what has happened to you. That room is the Citadel. And every time you let someone else's opinion narrate your inner life, you have left the gate open. Now pay attention. This is the real lesson. The Citadel does not lock itself. You have to lock it. Deliberately. Consciously. Like a soldier who checks the gate before sleep. Not because he is afraid, but because discipline is the habit of the prepared. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his private journal, words he never planned for anyone else to read. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Private words. For himself. Because Marcus knew the real battle was never with the Senate, never with the barbarians at the border. It was with the part of his own mind that wanted to hand the keys of his peace over to other people's opinions. And he was emperor, the most powerful man alive. And he still had to fight this battle every single day. So do you. But here is where it gets dangerous. Most people hear this and think, detach, go cold, build a wall, pretend not to care until the pretending becomes real. That is not the lock. That is just numbness wearing armor. The lock is different. The lock is not distance. It is clarity about what belongs inside the room and what is not. A criticism that points to something true, something you can correct, something that makes you better. Let it in. That belongs inside. That is useful material. A judgment that comes from someone's fear, their ego, their need to diminish you to feel taller, that does not belong inside the room. It does not get a chair at the table. You take it, you look at it the way Zeno looked at the merchant's words, and you set it down outside the gate. You do not carry it to bed. You do not let it hold the lamp. Here is the action. Simple. Concrete. Do it tonight. Before you close your eyes, spend 60 seconds, just 60, doing this. Ask yourself, whose voice is inside my head right now? Name it. Whose judgment am I still carrying from today? Then ask, did they earn the right to sit inside this room? Does their opinion help me be better, or does it just make me smaller? If it helps you, write it down. Keep it. Work with it. If it does not, say it out loud, quietly, to no one. This is not mine to carry. Then put it outside the gate. Not with anger, not with effort. Just set it down, the way you set down a stone you picked up on a long road. When you finally realize there was never any reason to carry it. The barracks gets quiet. The lamp burns low. But the room behind your eyes, that is yours. Seal it. That is the Citadel lock. Not detachment. Not coldness. Not armor. Just the clear, calm act of deciding what lives inside you and what is not. You are the guard at that gate. You have always been the guard. Most people just walked away from their post. Get back to yours. But even with the gate locked, even with the voice silenced at midnight, there is still something that waits for you in the morning. Something quieter than criticism and sharper than any insult anyone has ever handed you. And if you have not dealt with it, it will undo everything you have built. Method 6. The Contempt Protocol. Epictetus' blueprint for making opinions irrelevant. Pay close attention to this. It will save you years. The wartime command room smelled of burnt tobacco, cold coffee, and fear that no one would name out loud. It was the winter of 1944. The map on the wall was covered in red arrows and black lines, and every black line meant ground lost. A general named Harold sat at the center table, radio headset half on, half off, staring at a report. Not at the tactical data. At a single handwritten note pinned above the map, put there by a junior officer who thought he was being helpful. It read, "High Command thinks you are finished." Harold stared at it for a long time. Then he unpinned it, folded it once, and dropped it in the tin waste bin beside his boot. Not with rage, not with a speech. No one in the room even noticed. He put the headset on fully, picked up the field radio, and gave his orders for the morning advance. The advance worked. That is the Contempt Protocol. Not contempt in the way a coward uses it, as a mask to hide hurt. Contempt in the way a surgeon uses a scalpel. Precise, clean, without emotion, targeted at the specific thing that has no business being in the room. Epictetus said it first. He said it plainly. If someone succeeds in provoking you, realize that your mind is complicit in the provocation. Read that slowly. Your mind is complicit, not the person who spoke, not the crowd that laughed, not the voice that judged you. Your own mind opened the door and let the opinion walk in, sit down, and pour itself a drink. The opinion did not break in. You unlocked it. Now here is where most people completely fall apart. They hear, do not care what people think, and they try to perform not caring. They cross their arms. They say, I do not care, loudly enough for the person to hear. They post about it. They rehearse the moment later in the shower, building the perfect response they did not give. That is not the Contempt Protocol. That is just caring with extra steps. The real protocol runs deeper. It runs colder. Epictetus was a slave. He had no rank, no property, no social standing. Men with far more power than you or I could decide his fate with a word. And yet those men, with all their authority, with all their judgment, could not get inside his head without his permission. Think about that. A man who owned nothing owned the most protected room in the ancient world, the room behind his eyes. He described his method simply. When an opinion arrives, you do not argue with it. You do not feel wounded by it. You look at it the way you look at a rock someone threw into your yard. You assess it. Quickly. Does this rock come from someone whose own yard is clean? Does this person live the thing they are judging me for? If the answer is no, you do not throw the rock back. You do not examine it. You do not carry it inside. You look at it on the ground and you move on. That is the contempt. Not emotional contempt. Practical contempt. The contempt of a man who has no time for things that do not belong. But here is the part nobody talks about. This protocol requires something uncomfortable. It requires you to know yourself well enough to separate what is true criticism from what is just noise. Because not every opinion deserves the bin. Harold the General dropped the note that said, "High Command thinks you are finished." He dropped it because it was opinion. It was politics. It was fear disguised as judgment. But if a trusted officer had walked in that same night and said, "Your supply line calculation is wrong and your men will run out of ammunition by dawn," Harold would have listened. He would have stopped. He would have changed the plan. The contempt protocol is not a wall. It is a filter. And the filter only works if you are honest about which room each thing belongs in. Epictetus built the filter from one question. 1. Does this person have real knowledge of what they are talking about? If a man who has never trained for a single day tells you your form is wrong, what does that opinion weigh? Nothing. Less than nothing. It weighs the amount of experience behind it, which is 0. If a man who has bled through 100 hours of practice tells you the same thing, that is different. That opinion has weight. Let it in. Work with it. The protocol is the same gate, used with 2 different outcomes depending on who is knocking. Most people do the opposite. They ignore the people who could actually help them, the ones whose criticism cuts close to truth, because it is uncomfortable. And they obsess over the people who know nothing, because those voices are louder. Reverse that. Right now. Reverse it. Here is the action. This week, you are going to do one thing. Write down the name of the last person whose opinion stayed with you too long. The voice that followed you home. The judgment that sat at the breakfast table with you the next morning. Now write 3 words next to that name. 3 words only. What do they know? Not as a taunt, as a genuine question. What does this person actually know about your life, your choices, your work, your path? Be specific. Think about their track record. Think about what they have built, what they have risked, what they have carried. If the answer is real, if they have real knowledge and real standing, then take the criticism and work with it. Seriously, use it. If the answer is nothing or very little, then you have your answer. Fold the note. Drop it in the bin. Move to the radio. Give the orders for the morning. The gate you locked last night, the one we talked about before, it keeps the voice out at midnight. Good. That matters. But the contempt protocol is what you use in daylight. When the world is loud and moving fast, and someone says something in a meeting or posts something, or gives you that look, and your chest tightens for half a second. That half second is the moment. That half second is where you run the filter. Does this person know? Truly? If yes, listen. Fully. If no, then the protocol runs clean and cold and fast. You unpin the note. You fold it at once. You dropped it in the bin by your boot. And you put the headset on. There is one more method. The last one. And I will warn you now. It is the most demanding of all 7. Because it does not ask you to filter other people's opinions. It asks you to face the one voice that has never needed an invitation to get inside your head. Method 7. The reputation funeral, deliberately killing who you pretend to be. Method 7. The reputation funeral, deliberately killing who you pretend to be. Your own. That is the voice I am talking about. The one that does not knock. The one that was already inside the room when you woke up this morning. And the reason it is louder than every other voice on this list is simple. Every other voice belongs to someone outside you. This one wears your face. Here is what I need you to picture. The city of Rome. Late afternoon. The Forum Romanum, packed and sweating. The air thick with the smell of roasting meat from the street vendors and the sour wine being poured into clay cups by the stalls along the Sacra Via. senators moving in groups, their white togas catching the last light, merchants arguing at full volume over the price of grain, pointing fingers, red-faced, voices carrying over the crowd noise like blades. And there, in the middle of all of it, a young man named Publius. Not a senator, not a general, just a man who wanted to be seen as one. For years, Publius had built something. Not real, not built with his hands or his work, built with performance. The right words at the right dinners, the right silences when powerful men spoke, the right laugh. He wore a version of himself like a costume, pressed and clean and draped just so, because the approval of the forum felt like food. He needed it the way you need air, and he was good at it. People smiled when he walked in. Men quoted him. Women noticed him. He had become the costume. But here is the part nobody talks about. One evening, Publius sat alone in a narrow room above the merchant's district, the lamp oil burning low, the sound of the city rising through the shutters. And he asked himself one question. Who would I be if none of them were watching? He sat with that question for a long time. The lamp oil burned out. He still did not have an answer. Because the costume had been on so long, he had forgotten what was underneath. He had no idea who he actually was without the forum's eyes on him, without the crowd's reaction, without the slow approval building in someone else's expression. He had killed the real man and replaced him with a performance. And the performance was terrified all the time, because performances can always be reviewed. This is what Epictetus said. A man who was born a slave, who wore chains before he wore philosophy. First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. Read that slowly. Not what you want others to think you are, what you would actually be. First, before the crowd, before the forum, before the dinner where people are watching. What would you be? Most people cannot answer that, because they have never let the costume come off long enough to look. The reputation funeral is not a metaphor I am handing you gently. It is a ceremony, and it is brutal, and you are going to do it deliberately, with full knowledge of what it costs. Here is what it is. You are going to identify the version of yourself you perform for other people. The one that laughs differently in certain rooms. The one that shrinks when a specific person enters. The one that posts things not because they are true, but because they will land well. The one that agrees when it does not agree. The one that stays quiet when it should speak. The one that speaks when it should stay quiet, just to be heard. You are going to give that version of yourself a name. A real name. Something you can say out loud in a quiet room. And then you are going to bury it. Now pay attention. This is where it gets real. The funeral is not just symbolic. It is behavioral. It changes what you do in the 24 hours after you perform it. Here is exactly how. Tonight, before you sleep, find a piece of paper. Not a note on your phone. Paper. The kind that costs something to mark. And you write down, in plain language, the 3 ways you perform most often. Not vague. Specific. Not, I try to seem confident. Write the exact behavior. I laugh at things I do not find funny when my manager is in the room. I do not say what I believe on certain topics because I am afraid of who will stop calling. I change how I talk depending on who is listening. 3 behaviors. Written clearly. Staring back at you. Then you draw a single line through each one. Not because you are perfect now. Not because the instinct disappears. But because you are marking the moment you stop pretending it was not happening. This next part changed everything. After the line, you write 1 sentence underneath each crossed-out behavior. The true version, what you would say, or do, or refuse to do, if the crowd were not there. Not aspirational. Not who you want to be in 5 years. Who you actually are, stripped clean. This is the man or woman you are burying toward. Not burying away from everything. Burying toward the real thing underneath. Fold the paper. Sleep on it. Do not show it to anyone. And when morning comes, and the world gets loud again, and someone gives you the opportunity to slip the costume back on, you will feel it. The pull of it. The comfort of it. The way it used to feel like safety. Let it pass. 1 behavior. Just 1. Today, you do not perform that 1 thing. You say what you actually think in the meeting. You post the thing that is true, not the thing that is safe. You stay quiet when you would normally speak to be seen. You speak when you would normally stay quiet to avoid the discomfort. 1 burial. 1 behavior. One day, Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire and wrote his deepest thoughts in a private journal he never intended anyone to read. Confine yourself to the present. He was not performing for history. He was not writing for applause. He was writing to know himself, right now, today, with no audience. Because he understood that the man who performs is always afraid, and the man who has nothing to perform has nothing to protect. The funeral is not a single night. It is every morning you choose the real thing over the costume. Every single morning. But start tonight. Paper. 3 behaviors. 1 line through each. Bury the performance. And find out, maybe for the first time, who has been standing underneath it all along. The final word, walk out of the cage. The cage was never locked. That is the thing nobody told you. You have been standing inside it, hands gripping the bars, staring out at the life you want, and the door has been open this entire time. Wide open, swinging in the wind. The whole time, you built the cage, bar by bar. Every time you swallowed what you really thought. Every time you posted the version of yourself that would get the most approval. Every time you dressed up in the costume and walked into the room and played the part. You hammered in another bar. And now you stand here, 7 methods deeper, and you feel it. Something has shifted. Think about where you were at the start of this. Maybe you were in the blue glow of a screen at midnight, the city humming outside, rain dragging itself across the window. Maybe you were in morning traffic, knuckles tight on the wheel, already running the simulation of what someone else might think of a decision you had not even made yet. Maybe you were just exhausted, tired of carrying the weight of 1,000 imaginary opinions. That version of you had a cage, a full one, heavy iron, real walls. But here is what those 7 methods actually did. They did not hand you a key. They showed you the door was never locked. They made you look, really look. The Stoics did not promise you comfort. They promised you clarity. Epictetus was born a slave. Literal chains. No metaphor. Real iron around real ankles. And from that place, from that specific and brutal reality, he said something that should shake you to your spine. No man is free who is not master of himself. Not master of other people. Not master of outcomes. Not master of what they say about you in the office tomorrow, or what they type about you in the comments section tonight. Himself. Only himself. If a man who owned nothing, controlled nothing, was bought and sold like property, could say that and mean it, you have no excuse. The neon signs outside are still bleeding color across the wet asphalt. The metro is still packed. The algorithm still knows your weak spots. The fluorescent lights are still humming somewhere above an empty cubicle. The world did not change. But you are not the same person who pressed play. Here is your final word. Stop waiting for the fear to disappear before you act like yourself. It will not disappear first. The courage comes after the first step, not before it. You walk out of the cage, and then you stop being afraid of the bars. Not the other way around. One morning, one meeting, one honest word. You buried the performance last night. Now you walk as the thing underneath. No costume, no crowd to perform for. No approval to chase down a dark street at 2 a.m. while your real life stands still. You are not here to be liked by everyone. You are here to be known by yourself. That is the whole game. That was always the whole game. And the people who truly earn your respect, the ones you actually admire, when you strip it back, they all share one thing. They stopped asking for permission to exist as they were. Be that. Starting now. Starting with the very next choice you make when this screen goes dark. Subscribe. Share this with someone still gripping the bars of their own cage. And I will see you in the next one.